Welcome to the Necronama.com, where we're spending all of October looking at 31 episodes of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. Today, we're looking at Treehouse 27 from October 16th, 2016. I am Disco Stu. No, all right. I am James Sabata.
I'm Don Guillory.
And I'm Thomas Brungardt. And this feels like our 600th episode of Treehouse of Horror.
Only 66 more to go. Oh. I hope they don't release any more while we're recording this. That would just add more recording time.
That would be a real struggle. No, but
I want to take that out of the universe really fast on the off chance they do that, and then suddenly I've released 30 episodes this month. Anyway, where are we at?
Well, the fallback can be that Halloween episode a week before this episode. We could just do that and call it the 31st if they don't end up releasing one this year.
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
Love to know the thought process behind that.
Was it just too good of a story they couldn't wait until the next season to use it as Treehouse of Horror?
I actually haven't seen it, but everyone that I know who has says that it's better than most Treehouse of Horror episodes. So I feel like, yeah, maybe.
Well,
Don, you haven't seen it, right?
I accidentally watched the first few minutes of it and then realized it wasn't the Treehouse of Horror, but it already started off on the right path. So I'm going to go back and watch it later and give you my insight.
Excellent. So we open with one of the better openings. We get this weird Christmas tree shopping thing that they're doing. And then, and then they get ambushed by Sideshow Bob and the ghost of Frank Grimes and Kang and the Leprechaun. For some
it was
reason.
King or Kodos.
It was one of you guys.
It's one of you guys.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Oh, man. So, and then Maggie basically kills them all. So that's exciting stuff.
I loved it because Frank Grimes, Homer's enemy, is my favorite Simpsons episode. So I always love seeing Grimy come back as an angry ghost.
I love that Homer didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Because there's so many times, like, Burns never knows who Homer is, you know? So, like, seeing Homer do it was kind of fun. I know they've done it before, but I think it works really, really well with Frank Grimes. That's just got to be fucking infuriating.
You got to even think about it this way. Is Homer really going to allow this guy or have this guy living rent-free in his head? Because that's all Frank Grimes, because he's so pissed off at Homer, that's all he can think of. I mean, that leads to him dying. And that leads
maybe
to,
Frank should have been more careful and followed safety regulations.
Extremely high voltage.
Yeah. What does that matter? I'm Homer Simpson. I'll just do whatever I want. I love Homer's joke. It's like, I would never do that.
I know. The best one is when he's like, I'm better than okay. I'm Homer Simpson. And then Homer says, haha, you wish. It's funny because they do that 600th episode mosaic with like a tile from every episode, which I thought was really cool. But yeah. they tricked me because it jumps into this Planet of the Apes parody couch gag, which is Planet of the Couches. And I thought that was legitimately the first act. And then it just abruptly stopped. And then they went into the first like sketch. But I would have been fine with Planet of the Couch. Yeah, I would have been fine with Planet of the Couches being its own act because I like Planet of the Apes and I thought it was going somewhere.
But it does not.
It doesn't.
Which kind of makes it its own, actually. You know, starting out well and then having a really weird ending. All right, so we got Dry Hard. Who's got that one?
I've got that one. Dry Hard itself is, I guess, a parody of a few things, but it's a parody of Hunger Games, Mad Max Fury Road, and I mean, you've got also references to other apocalyptic or dystopian type worlds. But what's great about this one is, I'm sorry, the synopsis of this one is The town of Springfield has no water. Of course, all the water is being hoarded by Montgomery Burns, and he basically throws out a challenge for any of the children. Whoever wins, in the same way as Hunger Games, whoever wins this contest, whoever's the last one standing, will be able to enjoy the reservoir, enjoy the water. Lisa gets picked, and we quickly start to see all these people dying, all these kids dying. Ralph dies, the baby with the eyebrows dies. These two kids named Peto, one after the bread, one after the animal rights organization, both get killed by Homer, who's coming in to save Lisa, or at least Homish, who's coming in to save Lisa's character. She then organizes all these people in Springfield to charge up to the reservoir, try to blow it up so they can release the water. Doesn't work out the way they want, rains, and ends up flooding the town, and then eventually everything is snowed over, and it's just another type of hellscape. I like this one.
Why the fuck do they name this after a third movie that they don't make fun of?
It's a great question. That happens a lot, it seems like, in these things.
Right? Anyway, where were you going, Don?
Oh, no, I was going to say, I like this one because they mix the young adult movies with the, which was a great, I don't even know how to figure out, because there was so much hate from all these man babies about Mad Max Fury Road, because Mad Max wasn't the central figure. It was actually Furiosa, a female character. But I thought it was a really cool thing where in the young adult parody of Hunger Games, Lisa is portraying Katniss, and she's also, to an extent, she's portraying, they're parodying a film that has another strong female lead against a tyrant, which is of course Mr. Burns. But what really hits with that film, or both of those films, and this parody of those films, is that the numbers are on the people side with any of these films, with any of these dystopian or post-apocalyptic films. And it always takes this one chosen person to make them realize that's what's going on. Or at least that's the ability they have, is to stand up to this small minority of assholes who happen to be in charge, as opposed to, hey, we really don't have as much food or water, or really shitty conditions. Let's let them keep treating us like shit. Maybe things will get better. But I like any time that Mr. Burns gets his comeuppance.
So who do you think has to show up to unite us against COVID?
Well, I would normally say science, but apparently
I think science died in the first act.
Yeah. We live in a country where apparently science is a bad thing or a controversial thing. It's definitely not Bob Woodward, who sat on recordings for like 9 months where a certain individual admitted that he was going to downplay the virus because he didn't want to look bad. Mr. Rogers,
oddly, weirdly outdated news from a month and a half ago.
God damn you, James. I didn't say it was right now. I just said it obviously wasn't him. I don't know. I just
learned anything new, in which case I'll edit it in here.
No, fuck that. So Dr. Dre, maybe Dr. Dre will do it.
Well, I think after
Dre, he gave us headphones to ignore everyone else.
Well, I think we're on the upswing after the assassination, and I think President Pence is going to pull it together before the election in November.
Lord. I'm not even editing that out. You guys all know we recorded these ahead of time. All right, so
well, watch me be right, though.
Wouldn't that be something? Tape. We'd all be like, Simpsons podcast episode did it.
You know what? I like Hunger Games, but I found myself kind of drifting away and just not paying attention as I would during a Hunger Games movie. and it was just, and then the way they accelerated the timeline, where it's like, oh, part 2, this happens, part 3, now it's part 4. I don't know. It was a little too much for me. I didn't care for that as much, but I liked the story.
I liked the beginning. I really liked like Burns totally works as President Snow and that whole kind of thing going on. But yeah, same thing. It just felt like it lasted forever. I don't know. Yeah. I did like the payoff at the end where they're all celebrating. That was pretty great. And then, the water just leaves.
Well, there's also, they use Ned Flanders in this one, which I know when Lisa, channel or at least gets on TV and talks to everybody and says, we can topple Burns, we got the power, and we can stand up against him. And Ned, of course, being very Ned, says, we could topple Burns, or we could handle this peacefully at the ballot box. And I think Mo says something like, we can use your head or use a head like yours or something. Anyway,
yeah.
And they put his head, they decapitate him, put his head on the roof of a vehicle, and then drive through the bubble where the competition is being held. So, I don't have a problem with Ned dying the way he died in this one, because sometimes it's just like with the protests over this past summer. People would make the argument like, what is violence going to solve, or what are riots going to solve, things like that. And you have to point out, like, the riots come when you're not fucking listening to people. Like, we've been over this before. We've been over this through about 300 years of American history, where when people are not being listened to, when they're being peaceful, shit happens. So, Ned, you got to pay for this one.
Oh man, I do wish we'd been keeping track from the beginning how many times Ned died in the many different ways, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there's a tracker.
I mean, I felt like this was decent. There's just, like Thomas said, there's just something that didn't work, like it lasted too long, or I don't really know. But not the worst thing I've seen.
I guess that takes us into the next one.
Oh man, that's me. That's too bad. This one has one of my favorite quotes in many, many episodes. Like that's how much I love this quote. So we'll get there. But
can I guess?
I already told you. That's not really guessing.
Okay, fine.
I already told you that it's who would have thought a funeral for a couple kids would be such a downer, but we'll get there. So Lisa's playing hide and seek with Janie, and then Janie dies. And then at Janie's funeral, Sherry and Terry are hanging out, and they get crushed by a tombstone. And then Lisa's therapist gets killed. And then Chief Wiggum thinks, hey, maybe that chick's a murderer. But Lisa knows that it's her imaginary friend, Sarah Silverman. And yeah, I don't know, like Milhouse gets almost like strangled on the bus. Does he actually die? I don't remember.
He does die. He gets suffocated by the...
I figured he did, but then I was like thinking about it and I didn't remember him dying, so maybe I looked away or something.
You couldn't bear to see Milhouse die.
No, things were not coming up Milhouse. It was terrible.
The house always wins.
Lisa goes to jail. She escapes with Bart's help. And then Rachel's planning on killing Marge, or Sarah Silverman, I mean. Sorry. Whew, that was close. And Homer can see the imaginary Rachel because he's drunk. And then his own imaginary friend, Sergeant Sausage, attempts to defeat Rachel. But Sergeant Sausage gets killed. I don't know. This part's weird to me. I think she basically like threatened to use her imagination on her to turn her into like a middle-aged woman and make her marry a dentist or some shit. So Rachel just leaves. Like that's maybe I missed something, but that was fucking weird.
No,
to me.
That sounds about right. It was
all right.
Weird.
Good. And then Homer eats the rest of Sergeant Sausage
out of the microwave with a spoon.
So yeah. I like the concept of this one. I really, really like the I mean, we're killing kids, and then we kill kids at a funeral. That's dark. I like that a lot. And then, of course, the line about them, who would have thought a funeral for a couple kids would be such a downer? I love that line. That's just, I want to say that in totally random conversations. Like if I know somebody's coming into the room and hasn't heard the rest of the conversation, I'm going to start saying that.
My favorite line, I think it was Wiggum. He says, the only invisible killer I believe in is God. I thought that was good.
The one thing that I feel like they really missed out on, I would have liked a Drop Dead Fred reference here.
Fuck Drop Dead Fred. Ugh. Don't get me started. I fucking hate that movie.
Tune in when we make Thomas talk Drop Dead Fred.
I would love to do an episode with you guys about Drop Dead Fred.
We've never had a guest that absolutely hates a movie. That could actually be funny.
Well, I didn't much care for Splice, but I will say that I hate Drop Dead Fred, and I would love to talk about it with you guys for 6 hours.
Yes. So back our Patreon, and we will make that happen. Oh, wait, we don't have one. Damn it.
What about our OnlyFans?
Yeah, I was going to say it'll be on our OnlyFans. And the thing that made me chuckle the most in this is that Homer's drink is called Logan's Rum.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, they recycled the joke from the first act.
Yeah, he was drinking. Was it the same thing, or
it was the same one? It was Logan's Rum.
I think he was also drinking like an Amstel Light in that first one too. When he was Homerish, the Hamish character.
Mm-hmm.
From the Hamish district. The nice thing about that place is Hamish will get in the hammock with you. So Sergeant Sausage.
I love Sergeant Sausage. I thought that was hilarious. It's a very Homer thing to imagine.
Isn't it? I would like to see more of Sergeant Sausage. I wish he was in more stuff. Him and Radioactive Rod could be friends.
All right, I'm going to ask the question.
And then one person would scream Cinnamon and the other one would scream MOEFINGER.
Oh, my God.
All right, go ahead.
Have either of you had an imaginary friend?
All of my friends are imaginary. I've been doing this podcast alone forever. My downloads are imaginary, too, so it's okay.
I never did. I mean, we've talked about it before. I had cable in my room as a child, so I didn't really need to imagine things. All of my friends were like Detective Lenny Briscoe and Homer Simpson, so I didn't need to imagine anything. I let TV do it for me.
And Sergeant Sausage.
I've never understood the imaginary friend thing. Because I've seen it represented in so many TV shows and movies and things like that. I've never understood it. Somewhat like Thomas, I had cable in my room as a kid.
Hell yeah.
So it when those squiggly channels were on,
damn it, you took my joke.
I
was just about to ask about it.
It wasn't a consideration for me. It wasn't one of those, like playing with I had toys and stuff that I played with, and I had a dog, so it wasn't one of those things where I looked at and said, hey, there's my imaginary friend Timmy. So it never made sense to me when people had imaginary friends. And then when you get older, you're told that if you start talking to people that are imaginary, there's something wrong with you.
Right. You still think that Dead Hobo was a dog.
Man.
Well, should I get into MOEFINGER?
Sure, why not?
Act 3 is called MOEFINGER. It's like Goldfinger. It's a James Bond parody. It's kind of weird. It's a good concept. I guess the lair of the agents is underneath Moe's bar, and Moe is the head. I guess he's like the M or the Q. I don't know. I don't remember. I can never remember the letters in James Bond and who's who. But you see this wall of like the people who have died in action, and there's Homer, Uter, and Marvin Monroe again. but it's weird because Moe keeps kissing Homer's picture. I didn't understand that at all. And then the agents are Lenny, Carl, Gil, and Willie, and they have to go shut down this place called Remo Industries, which is this Homer backwards, because they've cornered the beer supply, and Moe needs it. But it turns out that Homer he's alive, and he has a lava machine to take over the world, and he just needs the beer supply to celebrate. And then meanwhile, Bart has been kind of training to become a 007 type agent, and he ends up killing Homer. He kills Homer this time without remorse, and then they make another a James Bond ending where he's having sex again with another 10-year-old.
Well, they were
Sherry.
making out.
Oh, well, it was implied that there was going to be a little more than that. And they make a little quip like they would at the end of a Bond flick. Oh, he's just having a little sherry. And then it goes from 006 to 600, and it has this whole outro of, we're celebrating 600 episodes, and here are all the other shitty shows that didn't make it this long. And one of them was The Critic, which is a show I really enjoyed.
One of them was The Orville.
Which was the untitled Seth MacFarlane project. It was fine. I thought there were so many opportunities where they could have done more, and the character choice was weird to me. It didn't need to be Moe. It didn't need to be Uter or whoever else was in there. It just felt a little off. What did you guys think?
I like when the cat is scratching up Homer's face.
How did you get that scar?
Look, I like the whole Steely Dan concert thing. I mean, just the choice of that, and then the idea that when Homer wants, I guess, to stall, or at least, or just needed some time, he has a problem choosing which song. But as they get to all the fighting and everything, there's that great line, or at least I think is a great line, where Bart says, they haven't even gotten to the beginning of the song yet.
I feel like this concept was done better in my favorite Simpsons episode, and that they really missed a chance to bring back my guy here.
They never bring back Hank Scorpio when they can.
There's so many missed opportunities where Hank would be amazing. But I really feel like Hank would have been a nice welcome addition here, even if they totally screwed with it and they used him as a red herring, or if he was one of the spy people, anything. But no. So I don't know. I just feel like this has been done better by them, so it was kind of weird to me, but I do like that Homer would be dumb enough to name his industries Homer spelled backwards.
And not realize it.
And yeah, exactly. I feel like we should have done the Halloween of Horror instead.
This concludes another episode of the Necronama.com with James Sabata, Don Guillory, and Thomas Sexbot Brungardt.